The stars glowed bright against the dark emptiness of space. For 10,000 years, the galactic hegemony had ruled these stars. They owned thousands of worlds. They controlled billions of beings across the galaxy. No one dared to stand against them. Emperor Rock sat on his massive throne made of rare metals from 100 worlds. His red skin gleamed under the bright lights of the throne room. 6 arms folded across his wide chest as he watched the small human walk into his court. The human was a woman named Kim Tae. She wore a simple blue uniform with just one small pin showing Earth's symbol. Next to the tall, multi-limbed aliens of the Hegemony Council, she looked tiny and weak, but she walked with her back straight and her head high. Ambassador Kim Tae of Earth, announced the court speaker, his voice echoing through the massive chamber. Here to speak for the humans. Emperor Rock leaned forward. His yellow eyes narrowed as he studied the human. Humans were new to space travel. They had only reached the stars 50 years ago. At first, the hegemony had ignored them. Humans seemed weak. They had no claws, no natural armor, no special abilities. They lived short lives. They died easily. But in those 50 years, humans had spread to 20 star systems. They learned alien technologies quickly. They adapted to new worlds faster than any species the hegemony had seen before. They solved problems in ways that made no sense to the hegemony's scientists. They were becoming a problem. Human, Emperor, Rock said, his deep voice filling the room. Your kind spreads like a disease among the stars. This ends now. Tae bowed slightly. Emperor Rock, we come in peace. We seek only to trade and learn. Prince Do, the Emperor's son, stepped forward from his place beside the throne. He was younger than his father, but just as tall. His face showed only disgust as he looked at the human. You take worlds that should belong to the hegemony, Prince Du said. You change the balance of power in this sector. We have watched your kind long enough. Tae kept her face calm, though her heart beat faster. This meeting was not going well. She had hoped to establish diplomatic ties with the hegemony. Earth's leaders knew they could not fight the massive empire. The hegemony had ships bigger than cities. They had weapons that could destroy planets. We wish only to exist peacefully alongside the hegemony, Tae said. Perhaps we could discuss terms for shared territories? Emperor Rock slammed one of his 6 hands down on his throne. The sound cracked like thunder through the chamber. There are no terms, he shouted. The hegemony does not share. You will submit to our rule or we will crush your worlds and end your species. The other aliens in the court nodded in agreement. Some laughed at the idea that humans could be equals to the mighty hegemony. Tae took a deep breath. She had one last option, one last hope to avoid war. According to our research, she said calmly, the hegemony has an ancient tradition, a way to settle disputes between species without full-scale war. The court grew quiet. Emperor Rock tilted his massive head. You speak of the right of champions, he said slowly. Yes, Tae nodded. Instead of war, each side sends its best warriors to fight. The winner decides the fate of both sides. Prince Do laughed. The sound was harsh and cold. You would invoke this, your soft, weak species against our mighty warriors? If it will prevent war, yes, Tae said firmly. The Emperor and his son exchanged looks. Then both began to laugh. Soon the entire court joined them, the sound of alien laughter filling the massive chamber. Very well, human, Emperor Rock finally said. I accept. The right of champions has not been used in 500 years. It will be entertaining to watch. What are the terms? Tae asked carefully. Prince Du stepped closer to her. He was so tall that Tae had to tilt her head back to see his face. Simple, he said. If your champion wins, we will recognize human independence and sign a non-aggression pact. If our champions win, all human worlds submit to hegemony rule immediately. Tae nodded slowly. And how many champions fight? We will send 10, Prince Du said proudly. One from each of our greatest warrior races. Each has trained from birth to kill. Each has won hundreds of battles. He pointed a long finger at Tae. How many will Earth send against them? 10? 20? It will make no difference. The court grew quiet again. All eyes turned to the small human woman standing alone before the Emperor. Tay looked directly at Emperor Rock. We will send one. For a moment, there was total silence. Then the court exploded with laughter again, louder than before. 1. Prince Do could barely speak through his laughter. 1 human against our 10 greatest warriors. Yes, Tay said simply. 1 is enough. Emperor Rock raised his hand, and the court fell silent again. You doom your species with this choice, he said to Tay. But so be it. 1 human against our 10 champions. The right will be held in 7 days on the arena ship. There is one condition, Tay said. Prince Do's face showed surprise. You are in no position to make conditions, human. The fights will not be to the death, Tay continued as if he hadn't spoken. Victory comes by surrender or inability to continue fighting. No killing. Emperor Rock studied her for a long moment. You fear for your champion's life? No, Tay said. I wish to ensure your champions survive the experience. They may learn something valuable. This time there was no laughter. The aliens of the court looked at each other in confusion. Was this human threatening their mighty warriors? Or simply delusional? Agreed, Emperor Rock finally said. No deaths. It will be more humiliating for your species when your champion begs for mercy. I will inform Earth of your acceptance. Tay bowed, slightly. Our champion will arrive before the 7 days are up. As Tay turned to leave, Prince Do called after her. Who is this single warrior that Earth sends against us? Some genetic monster? Some human in powered armor? Tay paused at the door of the throne room. Just a human. One who has spent a lifetime learning. Learning what? Prince Do demanded. Tay smiled for the first time since entering the chamber. Learning about you. As the doors closed behind her, Tay let out a long breath. The first part of Earth's plan had worked. Now everything depended on one person. The human Earth would send to face the hegemony's champions. A person the hegemony would never expect. Park Jun stood by the window of the small Earth ship. He watched the stars outside as the ship moved through space. His hand rested against the cold glass. At 58 years old, Jun was not young anymore. His black hair had turned silver years ago. Lines marked his face, telling stories of a long life of hard work. The door behind him slid open with a soft hiss. Ambassador Kim Tae walked in, her steps quick but quiet. General Park, she said with a small bow. Thank you for coming. Jun turned away from the window. His dark eyes studied the ambassador carefully. I still don't understand why they picked me, he said. His voice was deep and calm. Earth has younger soldiers, stronger ones. Tae smiled. We didn't need the strongest or the youngest. We needed the wisest. Jun had spent the last 30 years in Earth's defense forces. For 15 of those years, he had done one main job: study aliens. He learned how they fought. He learned how their bodies worked. He learned how they thought. Most people thought this was a waste of time. Aliens had never attacked Earth. But Jun believed it was only a matter of time before humans met hostile aliens. So he prepared. He created training programs for Earth soldiers. He wrote books about fighting different alien species, all based on data collected by Earth scouts and scientists. The hegemony ship will meet us in 6 hours, Tae said. I need to brief you on your opponents. She touched a small device on her wrist. A screen of light appeared in the air between them. It showed 10 different aliens. These are the champions you will face, she explained. One from each of the hegemony's top warrior races. Jun studied the images carefully. The first was a massive creature with thick armor-like skin. It stood nearly 3 times taller than a human. This is Grax, a Vex Berserker, Tae said. Their skin can stop most weapons. They can lift objects 10 times their own weight. The next image showed a thin, quick-looking being with 6 arms. Sith, a tarot assassin. They move faster than the human eye can follow. Their reflexes are 3 times quicker than ours. One by one, Tay showed June all 10 champions. Each looked more dangerous than the last. Some had natural weapons like claws or poison. Others had special abilities like extreme speed or strength. All had trained their whole lives to fight. They expect this to be easy, Jun said quietly. They think one human can't possibly beat all of them. Yes, Tay nodded. That's exactly what they think. Jun walked to a small table where his personal bag sat. He opened it and took out a few simple items. A small knife, some rope, a medal, water bottle, and several small packets of powder. No guns? Tay asked, watching him. Weapons can be taken away, Jun replied. Knowledge cannot. Tay smiled again. This is why we chose you, General. You understand what we're facing better than anyone. Jun looked back at the images of the alien, champions floating in the air. The hegemony has ruled for 10,000 years, he said. They've conquered thousands of worlds, but they've never faced humans before. And what makes humans different? Tay asked, though she already knew the answer. Jun closed his bag. We adapt, we learn, we find ways to win even when we seem weaker. He looked directly at Tay. Aliens evolve over millions of years to survive on their homeworlds. Humans change ourselves and our surroundings to survive anywhere. The ship's computer announced they were approaching the meeting point. Through the window, they could now see the IT hegemony ships waiting for them. The ships were massive, each one bigger than Earth's largest cities. They want to scare us with their size, Jun noted. Is it working? Tai asked. Jun smiled for the first time. No. 6 hours later, Jun followed 2 large hegemony guards down a long hallway. The arena ship was even bigger up close than it had looked from space. It was the size of a small moon, with room for thousands of spectators. The guards led Jun to his quarters. The room was plain but comfortable. A bed, a table, some chairs, and a small area for exercise. The first match begins tomorrow, one guard said in rough English. Be ready at sunrise. After the guards left, Jun began to prepare. He did not use fancy equipment or high-tech gear. Instead, he started with simple stretches. Then he moved through a series of slow, flowing movements. It was an ancient earth-fighting style called Tai Chi, focused on balance and control. Next, he sat cross-legged on the floor and closed his eyes. His breathing slowed. He began to review everything he knew about the Vex, his first opponent. Their strengths, their weaknesses, their fighting style. A knock at the door interrupted his thoughts. Jun opened his eyes as the door slid open. Prince Do stood there, flanked by guards. This is the mighty human champion? Prince Do said with a laugh. An old man with no weapons? Jun stood slowly, his movements calm and controlled. I thought, you'd be bigger, Prince Do continued. I thought you'd have special armor or weapons. I have what I need, Jun said simply. Prince Do walked into the room, looking around at the simple items Jun had unpacked. What is this? He picked up one of the small packets of powder. Poison? Salt, Jun answered. Prince Do threw the packet down in disgust. You mock us? One human with salt against our greatest warriors? Jun met the prince's yellow eyes without fear. You have never fought humans before. You don't know what we can do. I know enough, Prince Do growled. I know you are soft creatures who die easily, Jun nodded slightly. That is true. We are not the strongest. We are not the fastest. We are not the most naturally gifted fighters in the galaxy. Then why send only one of you? Prince Do demanded. Why not send 20 or 100? It would still not be enough, but at least you would have a chance. Because we only need one, Jun said. To show you why starting a war with humans would be your biggest mistake. Prince Do stared at Jun for a long moment. Then he laughed again, but the laugh sounded less certain than before. Sleep well, human, he said as he turned to leave. Tomorrow you face Grax. He has killed 300 opponents in the fighting pits. You will be 301. After the prince left, Jun returned to his meditation. In his mind, he went through every detail he knew about Vex physiology. Their thick skin protected them from most attacks. But there were weak spots, places where nerves gathered close to the surface, places where even a small human could cause great pain. Jun smiled to himself in the quiet room. The hegemony thought they knew what they were facing. They thought they were about to witness the quick defeat of a weak species. They were wrong. Humans had survived on Earth by outsmarting stronger predators. They had spread across their planet by adapting to every environment. They had reached the stars by solving problems no one thought could be solved. And tomorrow, one human would show the mighty hegemony why they should fear the species from Earth. The morning before the first fight, Jun woke early. The lights in his room slowly brightened to show it was time to get up. He sat on the edge of his bed and took a deep breath. Today he would face Grax, the Vex berserker. A creature 3 times his size with skin like armor. A warrior who had killed hundreds of opponents. There was a knock at his door. When it opened, Jun was surprised to see a young human man standing there. "General Park." The man bowed slightly. "I'm Lee Song from Earth Intelligence. Ambassador Kim sent me to help you." Jun nodded and invited Song into the room. Song was young, maybe 30, with sharp eyes that missed nothing. "How did you get on the arena ship?" Jun asked. "I posed as your assistant," Song explained. "The hegemony thinks I'm here to carry your equipment and tend to your needs." Jun smiled. "Good. What news do you bring?" Song sat down and lowered his voice. "The hegemony warriors have been training day and night. They're studying old videos of human fighting styles." "What styles?" Jun asked. "Military combat mostly," Song replied. "They expect you to fight like an Earth soldier with standard training." Jun nodded slowly. This was useful information. "What weapons do they think I'll use?" "They're preparing for Earth's energy weapons and powered armor," Song said. "Their warriors have been practicing against those specifically." "Good," Jun said. "What else?" "The first fight will be watched by the entire Hegemony Council," Song continued. "Emperor Rock wants to show everyone how weak humans are. There will be thousands in the arena and millions watching across their empire." Jun began to lay out his simple items on the table. The knife, the rope, the metal water bottle, the packets of powder. Song watched with interest. "Is this really all you're bringing to fight the champions?" he asked. "I also have this." Jun tapped his head. "And this." He placed a hand over his heart. Song looked confused. "Knowledge and feelings?" "Knowledge and spirit," Jun corrected him. "The hegemony doesn't understand humans. They think we are weak because our bodies aren't as strong as theirs. They don't see our real strength." "Which is?" Song asked. "We adapt," Jun said simply. "Every other species in the galaxy evolved specific strengths for their homeworlds. Vex have thick skin because their planet has strong radiation. Taro are fast because they evolved as hunters on a world with quick prey." Jun stood and began his morning exercises, moving slowly through Tai Chi forms. "But humans," he continued as he moved, "we didn't evolve one special ability. Instead, we learned to change ourselves and our surroundings. We can live in any environment, we can learn any skill. We can study our enemies and find their weaknesses." Song watched Jun move through his exercises. "The hegemony thinks this fight will be over quickly." "It will be," Jun agreed, "but not in the way they expect." Later that day, Jun sat cross-legged on the floor of his room. His eyes were closed as he meditated. In his mind, he went through every detail of his plan for each fighter. For Grax, the Vex, he reviewed the weak spots in their nervous system. Places where even a human's strength could cause great pain. For Sith, the Taro assassin, he thought about how to counter her incredible speed, how to use her momentum against her. For each of the 10 champions, Jun had a plan, not based on being stronger or faster, but on understanding their weaknesses better than they did themselves. His meditation was interrupted by the sound of his door sliding open. Jun opened his eyes to see Prince Do standing there again. "Still doing your little dances, human," the prince mocked. Grax has spent the day smashing practice drones to dust. What have you done to prepare? June stood slowly. I have prepared my mind. Prince Du laughed. Your mind? Grax doesn't fight minds. He crushes bodies. Every fighter has weaknesses, Jun said calmly. Even your mighty Grax. The prince's yellow eyes narrowed. You speak boldly for someone about to die. I don't plan to die, June replied. And neither does Grax. Remember, these fights are not to the death. True, Prince Du nodded, but accidents happen in the arena. June studied the prince carefully. Is that what you've come to tell me? That Grax might accidentally kill me? Prince Du smiled, showing sharp teeth. I've come to offer you a chance to surrender now. Save yourself the pain. Admit that humans are no match for the hegemony, and perhaps Emperor Rock will be merciful to your people. And if I refuse? Then tomorrow will be very unpleasant for you, the prince said. And in the end, humans will still bow to the hegemony. June shook his head slowly. You still don't understand what you're facing, do you? I understand perfectly, Prince Du snapped. One old human against 10 elite warriors. There is nothing to understand except your coming defeat. Then why offer me a chance to surrender? June asked. If you're so certain I'll lose, why come here at all? The question seemed to catch the prince off guard. He stared at June for a moment, then turned to leave. Prepare yourself, human, he said from the doorway. Tomorrow, the galaxy will see how weak your species truly is. After the prince left, Song came out from the small side room where he had been hiding. He's worried, Song said. They all are. They don't understand why Earth would send just one person. Jun nodded. Good. Confusion leads to fear. Fear leads to mistakes. Do you really think you can beat all 10 champions? Song asked quietly. Jun looked at the young man. I don't need to beat them all. I just need to show them enough to make them reconsider a war with Earth. That night, Jun ate a simple meal, then prepared his few items for the next day. He laid out his clothes, plain black pants and a black shirt. No armor, no special gear. He packed his small knife, a packet of salt, and a length of thin rope into pockets. As he prepared, Jun thought about Earth, about the billions of people depending on him. If he failed, the hegemony would demand that all humans submit to their rule. If humans refused, there would be war, a war that Earth could not win, not yet anyway. Jun had to succeed, not by being stronger than the alien champions, but by being smarter, by showing the hegemony that humans were not to be underestimated. As he lay down to sleep, Jun felt calm. Tomorrow would bring his greatest challenge, but he was ready. The last thing he saw before closing his eyes was an image of Earth, beautiful and blue, displayed on the small screen in his room, a reminder of what he was fighting for. The arena ship was massive. At its center was a huge round fighting area surrounded by rows of seats that could hold thousands of viewers. Today, every seat was filled. Aliens of all kinds from across the hegemony had come to watch the fights. Jun stood in a small waiting room near the arena entrance. He wore his simple black clothes, no armor, no visible weapons. He breathed slowly and deeply, focusing his mind. Ambassador Kim Tae entered the room. Her face showed worry, but she tried to hide it. General Park, she said with a small bow. It's time. Jun nodded. How many are watching? Thousands in the arena, Tae replied. Millions more across the hegemony empire. Emperor Rock wants everyone to see this. Good, Jun said. Then everyone will learn the lesson. Tae looked at him closely. You seem very calm for someone about to face Grax. Jun smiled slightly. I've been preparing for this my whole life. I just didn't know it. A loud sound came from outside the room, a horn announcing the start of the event. Tae touched Jun's arm briefly. Good luck, General. Earth is counting on you. As Tay left, Li Song entered. The young intelligence officer looked nervous. "I've been watching Grax. Warm up," Song said quietly. He's even bigger than the videos showed. And faster. "Remember," Jun said calmly, "size and speed aren't everything." The door to the arena slid open. Bright light poured in. The sound of thousands of aliens filled the air. "It's time," Song said. Jun took a deep breath and walked through the door, into the arena. The noise hit him first. Thousands of voices, some shouting, some making sounds no human throat could make. Then the light, brighter than in the waiting room, designed to let everyone see the fights clearly. Jun walked to the center of the round fighting area. The ground under his feet was soft but firm, made to absorb blood without becoming slippery. It reminded Jun that although these fights were not supposed to be to the death, accidents could happen, as Prince Do had hinted. Jun looked up at the main viewing box. Emperor Rock sat on a large throne-like chair. Beside him was Prince Do, and next to the prince sat Ambassador Tay, looking small among the large aliens. A voice boomed across the arena, speaking in the hegemony's main language first, then in English. "Today we witness the Right of Champions. 10 warriors of the mighty hegemony against 1 champion of Earth." The crowd roared. Jun stood still, his face calm, first to face the human, Grax of the Vex, undefeated in 300 fights in the battle pits of Vexoria. From the far side of the arena, a massive door opened. Grax stepped out. Jun had seen images of Vex before, but nothing prepared him for the sheer size of Grax. The alien stood, nearly 3 meters tall with gray-green skin that looked like rock. Muscles bulged under that thick hide. Its head had no neck, sitting directly on broad shoulders. Its eyes were small and black, filled with rage. Grax carried a huge hammer, big enough to crush a human with 1 hit. The alien raised the weapon, high, and the crowd cheered louder. Jun remained still as Grax walked toward him. With each step, the ground shook slightly. The Vex stopped a few meters away, looking down at the human with what seemed like confusion. Jun was so small compared to the massive alien. "This is your champion?" Grax's voice was deep and rough. "This tiny creature?" Jun said nothing. He simply studied the Vex, noting everything about how it moved, how it held its weight, where its attention focused. The announcer's voice came again. "The fight will continue until 1 champion surrenders or can no longer fight. Begin." Grax didn't wait. With a roar, he charged at Jun, swinging the massive hammer down toward the human's head. Jun waited until the last possible moment. Then he stepped to the side, moving just enough to avoid the hammer as it smashed into the ground where he had been standing. The crowd gasped. They had expected the human to be crushed immediately. Grax roared in anger and swung again. Again, Jun moved just enough to avoid the blow. He didn't try to fight back. He simply avoided each attack, studying the Vex's movements. For several minutes this continued. Grax attacked with increasing fury. Jun dodged each blow, never striking back, never even touching the alien. He moved in circles, making Grax turn and follow him. The crowd grew restless. They had come to see blood, not a dance. Some began to boo. Prince Du leaned toward his father. "The human is a coward. He only runs." But Emperor Rock was watching carefully. "No," he said slowly. "He is studying, learning." After 10 minutes of this, Grax was breathing heavily. The constant attacks and turns had tired the massive alien. Sweat covered his stone-like skin. His movements grew slower. "Fight me, human," Grax roared in frustration. "Stop running," Jun finally spoke, his voice calm and clear. "I'm not running. I'm waiting." "For what?" Grax demanded. "For this moment," Jun replied. In a movement so fast it surprised even Grax, Jun darted forward. His hand struck a specific spot on the Vex's side, just below where a human's ribs would be. To the crowd, it looked like nothing. A small human, pushing against a mountain. But Grax froze. His eyes widened. The massive hammer fell from his hands as his arms went limp. He tried to speak, but no words came out. Then he fell to his knees and finally forward onto the ground. The arena went completely silent. No one moved. No one spoke. Thousands of aliens stared in shock at the scene before them. The mighty Grax, lying helpless on the ground, and the small human standing calmly beside him. Jun knelt beside the fallen champion. "The nerves in your body connect in clusters here," he said quietly, pointing to where he had struck. "Pressure in the right spot causes temporary paralysis. You'll be able to move again in about 10 minutes. Grax's eyes, the only part of him that could still move, showed rage, confusion, and something new. Fear. Jun stood and looked up at Emperor Rock. "The Vex champion can no longer fight. I claim victory in this match." For a long moment, no one spoke. Then the announcer's voice, less confident now, declared, The winner is the human champion." No cheers followed, only stunned silence. In the viewing box, Prince Do turned to his father. How? How did he do that?" Emperor Rock didn't answer. He was watching June with new interest. Ambassador Tai kept her face neutral, but inside she felt a surge of hope. Jun had won the first match just as they had planned, not with strength or special weapons, but with knowledge. Jun walked calmly back to the waiting area. As he left the arena, the silence finally broke. Thousands of voices began talking at once, trying to understand what they had just seen. In the small room, Song waited for him. The young man's eyes were wide. "That was amazing," Song whispered. "How did you know exactly where to strike?" "I studied Vex anatomy for years," Jun replied simply. "Every species has weaknesses. You just need to know where to look." Jun sat down and began to prepare for his next fight. 1 champion down, 9 to go. And the hegemony had just learned that humans were far more dangerous than they had believed. The next 9 fights happened over 3 days. Each time Jun faced a different alien champion. Each time he used a different strategy. Against Sith, the fast tarot assassin, Jun used the packet of salt. When the 6-armed alien moved too quickly to see, Jun threw the salt into the air. The tiny grains stuck to the tarot's invisible body, showing Jun exactly where to strike. Against the water-breathing mer champion whose skin released poison, Jun used the liquid from his metal bottle. It wasn't water inside, it was vinegar. When splashed on the mer's skin, it changed the poison's chemistry, making it harmless. For each alien champion, Jun had a specific plan. He didn't try to match their strength or speed. Instead, he used their own abilities against them. He found the weakness in each fighter that no one else had seen. By the 9th fight, the arena was no longer filled with noise. The aliens watched in silence, their shock growing with each fight. How could one human defeat the greatest warriors of the hegemony? Now, on the final day, Jun prepared to face the last champion, a Krell telepath named Maz. Krell were known for their mental powers. They could read minds and attack with thoughts alone. They had won 1,000 battles without ever touching their opponents. In the waiting room, Song looked worried. "How do you fight someone who can read your mind?" he asked Jun. Jun smiled slightly. "The same way you fight anyone else. You understand them better than they understand themselves." When Jun walked into the arena for the final fight, the silence was complete. Thousands of aliens watched without making a sound. In the royal box, Emperor Rock leaned forward in his seat. Prince Do's face showed anger and confusion. Ambassador Tai remained calm, though hope shone in her eyes. Across the arena stood Maz, the Krell champion. It was smaller than most of the other aliens Jun had faced. Its body was thin, almost fragile-looking, but its head was large with a high forehead and completely black eyes. Those eyes fixed on Jun as he walked to the center of the fighting area. The announcer's voice seemed quieter than before when he called, "The final match, Maz of the Krell against the human champion. Begin!" Maz didn't move. It stood perfectly, still, staring at Jun. The Krell was attacking with its mind, trying to push into Jun's thoughts to find fears it could use to cause pain without touching. Jun closed his eyes. For months before this mission, he had trained his mind through meditation, Not to block a telepath completely. That was impossible. Instead, he had learned to fill his mind with so many thoughts at once that no one could sort through them all. As Maz pushed into Jun's mind, it found not one thought but thousands. Jun was thinking of Earth, of space, of fighting techniques, of food recipes, of mathematical equations, of songs from his childhood, all at the same time. The Krell stumbled back, its black eyes widening. It had never faced a mind like this. Before, Jun opened his eyes and stepped forward. Maz tried again to attack his mind, pushing harder. Jun let the Krell in, but filled his thoughts with even more information. The names of stars, the sounds of ocean waves, the taste of spicy food, the feel of rain on skin. Maz made a high, thin sound of distress. Its hands went to its large head. The mental attack had backfired. The Krell was overwhelmed by the storm of human thoughts. Jun took 3 quick steps forward and gently touched Maz on the shoulder. The Krell fell to its knees, its mind attack completely broken. "Too many thoughts at once," Jun said quietly to the fallen champion. "No one can process that much information, not even a Krell." Jun turned to face Emperor Rock. "The final champion can no longer fight. I claim victory." The silence in the arena was deeper than ever. Then, slowly, Emperor Rock stood. His 6 arms were held out from his sides in a gesture of respect. "The human has defeated all 10 champions." The Emperor's voice rang out. "The rite is complete." Jun bowed slightly, then walked from the arena. The aliens parted to let him pass, many backing away as if afraid to be too close to him. In a large meeting room on the arena ship, Jun sat at a round table. Across from him were Emperor Rock, Prince Do, and several hegemony officials. Ambassador Tay sat beside Jun. "I admit I did not expect this outcome," Emperor Rock said. His voice was calmer than before. "How did one human defeat our 10 greatest warriors?" Jun looked at the Emperor. "I studied each species for years. I learned your strengths, but more importantly, I learned your weaknesses." "But how?" Prince Du demanded. "Our warriors were stronger, faster, better armed." "True," Jun nodded, "but they had never faced humans before. They didn't know what to expect." Jun placed his hands on the table. "Every species in the galaxy evolved specific abilities for their homeworlds. Vex have armored skin, Taro have speed, Krell have mental powers. Each is specialized." "And humans?" Emperor Rock asked. "What special ability do you have?" "We adapt," Jun said simply. "Humans didn't evolve one great strength. Instead, we learned to study our surroundings, to understand other creatures, to find new ways to survive." Jun looked at each alien around the table. "On Earth, we were never the strongest or fastest animals. We survived by learning, by working, together by making tools, by understanding our environment better than any other species." Ambassador Tay spoke up. "This is why we sent only one human, to show you that even a single human can be dangerous when they understand their opponent. And to demonstrate what would happen if you faced billions of us." Jun added. Emperor Rock was silent for a long moment. Then he said, "The right of champions is complete. By our ancient laws, the victor decides the outcome." Jun nodded. "Humans ask for peace. We want to exist alongside the hegemony, not under it. We seek a non-aggression treaty and recognition of human independence." "Nothing more?" Prince Do seemed surprised. "You could demand more after such a victory." "We don't want war," Jun said. "We want to learn from you, trade with you, perhaps, even become allies one day. But we must be treated as equals." Emperor Rock studied Jun carefully. "You are not what I expected, human." "No," Jun agreed. "And that is the most important lesson here. Humans are rarely what others expect." Later, as Jun prepared to return to the Earthship, Song found him in his quarters. "You did it," the young man said with a smile. "You beat all 10 champions. The treaty will be signed tomorrow." Jun nodded. "But this was just the beginning. The hegemony will be watching us closely now." "They fear us," Song said. No, Jun shook his head. I hope they respect us. Fear leads to hatred. Respect can lead to understanding. Jun looked out the viewport at the stars. Humans have just begun our journey into space. We have much to learn, but we've shown the galaxy that we shouldn't be underestimated. As the Earthship pulled away from the arena ship the next day, Jun stood with Ambassador Tay on the bridge. They watched as the massive hegemony vessels became smaller in the distance. Do you think they understand now? Tay asked. What it means to face humans. Jun smiled slightly. They're beginning to understand. They've seen what one human can do with enough knowledge. And if they ever decide to test us again? Tay asked. Then, they'll discover that humans are even stronger together than we are alone, Jun replied. But I hope instead they'll remember this lesson. That the most dangerous weapon in the universe isn't strength or speed or even telepathy. It's the human mind, Tay finished for him. Jun nodded and turned his gaze toward the distant light of Earth's sun. And that is something we all possess. End.